Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Connected Share. A bit different. We're at Kiama, which is, how do I say it? Tharawal country. And we are in the Wadi tribe area. So, welcome to everyone, and may I pay my respects to all Aboriginal people, past, present, and future, for the land, sea, and waters that we operate on. So, and they've got a great term, Bayalala. Let's begin talking. So today, other than being a bad hair day, I have a beautiful scenery in the background here in Kiama, because we have the Skills IQ Forum just up the hill. So a jam-packed morning full of information. I'll leave a bit of a review. You've all got your membership newsletters, so that sort of gave you a little bit of a snapshot of what we've been up to this week. So I'll leave most of that for today. I want to get into our speakers, which have got some great information. And it's finally that I'm in a fabulous destination. And as I've been saying to you guys for a little while, there's a bit of an untapped opportunity with tourism and working with our tourism colleagues in a lot of the operations that you guys do. So I asked Lucy White, who I've worked with for quite some time, Lucy. Lucy now runs one of the destination networks. I'm not going to say too much because she can tell you exactly what that means and what it's about. But I'll hand to Lucy. Lucy will give a rundown on some of the opportunities that destination networks have done in the past, as well as what the future looks like. And then I'm going to introduce you to Mark Horton, who's done an amazing program with some Aboriginal kids out in Wilcannia, and he will give you a rundown on that. I'm going to have to unfortunately depart around about 11:45, if not 20 to 11, just to scoot up the hill to the forum. So I'll leave you in Leslie's capable hands after that. But Lucy, let me hand over to you, and let's hear what you're up to.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you all today. And also, we will, on behalf of Fleur, my business development manager there, Fleur Wave, we're from Destination Country in Outback, and we're also pay respects to elders past, present and future. Thanks for joining us today. We've got we're just going to share the screen with you. We've got three sort of basic broad topics to bring to you, bearing in mind that it can possibly be dry, so we'll fly through it. Who we are, the importance of the visitor economy to both Australia and New South Wales and to you guys, and some tips and resources, just some links. So we'll just dive straight into it, Fleur. Obviously, Laurie said maybe you don't always know what destination networks are. There are 6 of us state government enterprises set up across the state. Basically, we're the regional shop fronts for Destination New South Wales. Our DM, Destination Country and Outback, comprises 37 LGAs, including the unincorporated Far West. There are 5 others where Laurie is. It's called Destination Sydney Surround. They've just actually appointed a brand new a general manager called Shannon Perry Hall, who started last week. I strongly recommend, if you're in that region or you haven't connected with your DM, that you do. So that's our region. You can see it's fairly large. There's 37 of them from Oberon in the south right up to the north, and we're up to Corner Country, where obviously Laurie is doing a fair bit of work. Our high level goals, Fleur, if we can just go to the next one, is to work with industry to do this positive and collaborative approach to culture, the sport, to growth of the visitor economy. And when we talk about the visitor economy, that's new language, but we've really also got to kind of keep focusing on that away from the word tourism. Tourism, to most people, is a sort of an amorphous, as you know, it's a fairly complicated industry. It's not just a one size fits all. So the visitor economy is really the language that we use, and everything we do really needs to be seen through the visitor lens. I think that's the opportunity that we just keep, where we see results is where the businesses are operating on what the visitor needs, operating on consumer trends, watching what their needs are, emerging changes to the markets. Working with the tourism operators to increase visitation and yield. That means more people spending more money. Strengthen and perception and awareness of our region. So even though we've got 37 destinations, basically our research, and as operators, you will probably know that people aren't really searching for destinations and regions anymore. They're searching for experiences. So we do that through a range of ways. So public relations, marketing campaigns, building the capacity and capability means that we try to find funds to run development programs. We've recently undertaken some work with NATOC, which is the New South Wales Aboriginal Tourism Operators Council, trying to build and mentor Aboriginal tourism products in our region, because we know that there's an interest and certainly a growing, and that's obviously a niche area, but capability, and that could mean industry. We've been working with the industry to try to get more products online. People are using every day of the week, every hour, minute of the day, they're using one of these. If they can't find you on a mobile phone and book, we're basically seeing business that's lost. So we're trying to fill the gaps there by trying to find funds to work with our industry to build their capacity and the capability to bolster the visitor economy. We're also trying to facilitate the development and enhancement of products and experiences and events. So that means lifting the quality, and where that may mean lifting the capability or linking them to funding opportunities that are going to help raise their profile, get more people to spend more money in those regions. And then we're also attempting to be effective and efficient communication with stakeholders and communities. So that means we've got a regular database, a regular e-newsletter which we send out every fortnight, which has got many links to opportunities with funding, public relations opportunities, for whatever we can get. But because we're not a consumer-facing organisation, we're a state, we're funded through the state, we're an industry-facing organisation. So essentially our stakeholder engagement involves face-to-face meetings, presentations like this, linking state initiatives to local initiatives, and then talking to you through newsletters and a website, which we basically is really about hosting resources and tools to help industry rather than marketing opportunities. So the value of the visitor economy, Fleur, if we can just go to the next one. I don't think people realise, did we go to, sorry, just a slide back there. The examples of the kind of work that the destination networks should be and can be doing is helping you with funding opportunities. So right now, the state government budget will be brought down on the 17th of November. There aren't any through direct tourism opportunities right now, but ordinarily we would expect to see funding streams for product development, cooperative marketing and events, a range of different types of events. We're awaiting that news. We're usually the conduit to those funding streams for our industry. We're the conduit, obviously, to Destination New South Wales resources and campaigns. There's an enormous number of resources that are available to operators through Destination New South Wales. An example of some of the work that we facilitate are collaborative marketing campaigns. We'll give you an example of what we've done recently with the Broken Hill and Central Darling Shire to raise the profile and drive visitation out to the Outback. We'll do that at the end. The opportunity to help promote products and experiences, feeding into Destination New South Wales through, presumably you all know what ATDT is, ATDW, the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, making sure that we're connecting to, making the industry aware of the fact that these opportunities, and as an example, if you're not listed on the ATDW, not feeding into the Destination New South Wales, Visit New South Wales website, which is now attracting around 24 million hits a year, and linked to a huge number of distribution channels. And they're partnering with TripAdvisor and Expedia and many opportunities that link to those aggregators that operators just wouldn't be able to possibly connect to that wide audience without being part of those programs. So presumably you all of those know that, but our view is that the role of the DN is to help the industry be aware and make those connections to provide those opportunities. Flo, the next one, please. Just the value of the visitor economy to Australia is, that's a significant amount of money. And right now, obviously, we're seeing that the opportunity through COVID for domestic tourism to be really, really surging. And then while there's border closures and restrictions on travel, regional New South Wales is really well positioned to capitalise on this and to retain domestic visitors. So I guess we're hoping that the industry is buoyed by that and will take the opportunity to use the data and the analytics and information available to retain those domestic and regional New South Wales visitors. So yeah, the last slide, for every tourism dollar, 43 cents was spent in the regional New South Wales. And I think sometimes the funding bodies and the state government, maybe Laurie might agree with this, overlooks the value that the regions actually contribute to the visitor economy. Next one, this is to the, probably because of it's our region, it's just worth noticing. I think it's good to see the comparison. So if we look at the number of expenditure in June 2011 in the visitor economy, $188 million to our region, is now 285. So people are working out that there is exceptional experiences and on offer in Outback and regional New South Wales, which is pleasing. So I guess our work is we're determined to continue to see that trend and to work with operators to improve their experience and to make sure that people actually don't want to go to Victoria, or, you know, while the restrictions are on, you know, that Fiji and Bali they lessen the appeal and people work out what is in their own backyards. Next one, Fleur. Obviously, we probably don't need to tell you guys much about this, but obviously the impact in the last 6 months has been fairly significant. You know, 2.5 billion in January, 1.2 in July. The slump has been incredibly serious. Hopefully it's on the rise. And I guess our role is to work with the government and the industry to try to figure ways of bolstering that and filling that gap. But obviously the impact of COVID is very serious, but we're hoping that the turnaround, we can maintain that buoyancy. The next one, Fleur. Fleur, you might want to speak to this, but the Destination New South Wales website does have some really, really helpful links and tools for you. Fleur, do you want to quickly go through these for the operators?
Sure. So it's just a snapshot because there are a lot of resources online. So this is maybe, I don't know, like 20% of it, but just have a look on the Destination New South Wales website. So the main ones for today, I think, that are relevant to local operators in our region. I would say statistics, figures and trends. They're all hyperlinks as well, so feel free to just click along, and what I can do is share the PowerPoint with Laurie so that you have the slides and the hyperlinks there as well. So statistics, what we try to do is probably update our website and share most recent statistics as well in our newsletter. But that's all, yeah, you will find it on the Destination New South Wales website. Then we have New South Wales First program. You're probably all aware of that program.
They're practical. The good thing about these resources is they're actually very practical. The case studies are real. They're not necessarily just theoretical stuff. They're practical ways, of tips and tools, particularly the quick tip web tutorials. If you haven't seen those, probably worth a look.
Yeah, and then a link to all their webinars as well. So there are long sessions. One of them, for example, the destination content library, how to use it, how you can order images online from their library and use them in for your own local business. So that's one of them there. But when you click on online sessions, you will find like a full list there. And then social media guidelines. So that's linked to the content library as well, how to use the images. And there are obviously terms and conditions that go with it. So that's all included on the website as well. So Lucy spoke about the listings online and how we feed to Destination New South Wales. So to get connected listings, information, how to register and how to go about it, it's all easy. If you have any questions about, for example, creating an account there, a content library account, just let us know. We're happy there to help you out as well. If there's anything that's not in this list and you can't find it on the Destination New South Wales website, feel free to reach out as well. And we're
Essentially what we're saying is that the destination network is the conduit to all these resources that are available to the industry. So if you don't know about them, then your network should be able to put you in touch, link directly to those resources. And if that's not the case, we can help you do that. Conscious of the time that we've got, we can show you an example of the collaborative marketing activity that's underway with the Broken Hill and Outback region if you are interested. Otherwise, we're happy to take questions and let Mark do his stuff and Laurie get to her convention on time. So, Laurie, thoughts?
All good. Yep. I reckon jump into the case study. And yeah, is there any questions at the moment, Leslie, from anyone? Obviously, everyone's got a very different network that they need to deal with, depending on the area that they are based. But certainly, I'm sure Lucy can help direct some of those questions if her knowledge of the other areas as well.
Yeah, there's nothing in the chat at the minute, but feel free, everybody. I'll put your hand up and we can get to you.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an example of when there are some funds available. Destination New South Wales has a cooperative marketing campaign. It's a dollar for dollar investment. Broken Hill Shire City Council and Central Darling Shire Council partnered earlier in the year, invested $410,000. Well, the total was $410,000. They realised that this is well before COVID. There had been long-term drought. They had I think it's a good example of collaboration of state, industry, and local government coming together in a really refreshed approach to repositioning an area that had low appeal, had high awareness, but really low appeal. They had to do a really strategic approach, a lot of creative energy to create a campaign that ended up, we'll show you through the creative, but a lot of research indicated that the imagery was tired, that if you typed in Outback, you saw the same thing over and over again, that no one had any idea that there was an enormous level of the depth of Indigenous culture, the depth of the geological and mineral and fossil highlights out there. They just thought the Outback was blue skies and red dust, and that was about it. So it really focused on how to reignite and convert people to think about taking a trip to the Outback, with bearing in mind that seasonality was very important, you know, that you don't go, but April to October is really the time frame. A whole lot of media was produced, including digital, organic and social, print partnerships with Australian and digital with Australian Traveller, Geographic and Caravanning Australia, and with TripAdvisor for the conversion of the campaign when it went live. It's gone absolutely far better than they expected. This is just an example of some of the, so the positioning statement was really about the, it's out there. Literally, you can, you know, a bit of a pun on how far it is, but it's out there. You know, it's a history that's outlived times, unexpected, drag queens, also, you know, if we just go up a bit, and obviously the incredible depth of the Aboriginal culture. So we'll just quickly go through the next one. So, you know, who knew that there were, you know, riverboat experiences to be had, and extraordinary night skies experiences, drag queens, living sculpture parks, camel rides, you know, the whole thing. Just the impacts of, so the campaign went live in February, and then everybody knows what happened in March. It got absolutely locked down, but they continued, they turned the campaign on and off based on partnering with Australian Traveller to see where people were still dreaming and thinking about going on a holiday, and they remained absolutely top of mind. So you can see that the print and editorial went ahead in May and June anyway. The paid media resumed, was put on hold again in July, when the government said avoid non-essential travel. But so you just have a quick look at this imagery. Resumed 20 June. We keep going down to the flow. Jesus, keep going, because that's actually a bit dull. It's just some of the examples of some of the imagery of the drag queens, these Silverton art experiences. The spotlight on the region was really well focused with public relations. That they got the Today Show weather team out there. They had 3 familiars, so Australian Traveller, Escape, and Australian newspaper. So, you know, pretty high-end media campaign, media attention. Since then, it's been absolutely enormous. Huge exposure in Destination New South Wales' email newsletters, and a big investment in organic and social posts. So it's resulted in extraordinary success. The operators have been reporting, they've been pretty much full for a couple of months, booked heavily until about the end of November. So I guess we just wanted to quickly show you that these are the sort of opportunities that your destination network should be able to help you when the funding streams are available. We just thought this is a good example of recent success where a partnership with state government and local government can actually be quite creative and compelling, as opposed to maybe not. So that's really a snapshot of the kind of, just flick through it, Fleur. I mean, we can send this to you. It's just some really good results. The channel plan, and I guess for Laurie, because Laurie and I have been working in this industry for so long, it's refreshing to see such a creative and flexible approach to marketing. Laurie probably recall in the old days, it was like, you know, regional print newspapers, and it was all possibly a little bit, it's far more targeted and far more research these days. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you can take comfort in the fact that if you can partner comfortably, raise the funds to do some successful marketing with the government. So happy to share that if you're interested, but that was just an example of how one of the funding streams with the state government can operate. So unless there's any questions, that's we can look at the video, but
yeah, absolutely. And look, this is something, and I'll start my video so you can see my beautiful hair blowing everywhere. This is something that obviously anyone that is attracting visitors from another area and sees tourism as an element of their business can tap into. As I say, there's destination networks, as Lucy said. I think is it 6, Lucy? Sorry, you said?
Yeah, 6. Yep.
Now, right across the region. So down here in the South Coast, where I am now, is Destination Cities Around South. That goes to Shoalhaven, then it's Destination South Coast. So each of them do the similar role to what Lucy does, but for that particular area. So if you have any tourism side to your business, or you want visitors to come, and if you want to move into this area, that certainly I can connect you with your local destination network. And if you're in Lucy's area, now you know her and have her details. But thank you so much, Lucy and Fleur, for bringing that to us. It's a great overview, better than what I could have articulated, and really appreciate you being here today.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you, Laurie. Always good to work together. Can't wait to see the steps progress.
Yeah, thank you. So for everyone on the channel, it's another hat I wear, and yes, we're doing a project out in Lucy's area at the moment. But thank you again. And is there any other questions or comments from the audience for Lucy or Fleur before they fade off into our background or depart?
Just a quick question. Is there any way to find out about sort of group volunteering opportunities out in regional areas?
Good question. Yes, there is, but I'll let Lucy answer that first.
In any specific area? In region? I mean,
I guess just more generally.
Yeah, there are volunteer organisations all over the place. I think it probably depends on the nature of the interest area.
So, for example, for small groups of school students, high school age students.
Yeah, beautiful, Helen. Volunteering New South Wales actually has a whole heap of different activities that they engage with for short-term volunteering as well as long-term volunteering. I can certainly connect you with someone there if you're looking at taking some students out. there is a whole network in Lucy's area in tourism volunteering, but they're all mainly at business centres or events. Certainly on the event side, obviously during COVID, we don't have much activity going on, but events in regional areas in Lucy's area, particularly Parks Elders Festival and Canoundra's Balloon Festival, for example, they're always searching for volunteers specifically for that event, and there are roles that suit right from school students right through to adults, but obviously the supervision and all of that thing needs to be ticked off. But yeah, Helen, I can connect you with some people if that's something you're looking at, and I'm sure Lisa can connect with some of the events if that's what you're looking at too.
Yep, down the track. That'd be good. Thank you. Thanks.
Where
Thanks,
are
Helen.
you based, Helen?
I'm based in Sydney, but I sort of operate in different locations.
Okay.
Right across. She takes kids on care.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Thanks, Helen. Any other
Thank
questions
you.
from anyone? No? Okay. Leslie, is Mark on the line?
Yes, Mark is on the line. Hello, Mark.
I'm on the line. I'm having some video challenges.
Oh, you're having some
that's
video
okay.
challenges?
We can hear
Okay.
you, which is the main thing.
Well, can you see the screen so I can share your presentation? Are you able to?
Do you want me to share my presentation?
I can share it if that's an issue for you. But
That's all right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I'll do that.
Fabulous. Well, we can hear you, Mark. That's the important thing. So thank you for coming on. And I know Mark's on leave right now, so he has come to this session in his own time, and I really appreciate it because this is an amazing program and one that I'd love to see replicated right through out the state and the territory. But Mark, I'm going to hand to you, and apologies, I'm going to have to bid farewell as I make my way up to the forum this morning, up with Minister Lee. So thank you again for joining us. Leslie, I'll hand over the reins to yourself.
Okay, have you made me host, Laurie, just in case? Just.
I think Fleur needs to, because I'm
Fleur.
the host.
Can you hand it back to me, Fleur, when you get a chance? Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, guys, have a great week, and I thank you again. We'll talk soon.
No, my pleasure.
All right, ready when you are, Mark.
All right. Have you got? I can't see. Oh, there you go.
You got it?
We're overlapping. We've got
Right.
technical problems. That's all right. I've got stuff overlapping everywhere here. No, that's not going to work. Let's see if I can minimise it. There we go. Now I've got part of the screen now. Yeah, so can I move that? No, you can move that. Just go.
Yeah, I'll move that. Do you want me to move? Just you say next slide and I can keep
Yeah,
going.
next will be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Central Darling Youth Leadership Program, to my knowledge, and please tell me if I'm wrong here, but to my knowledge, there is no outward bound, there's no providers, there's no service using the outdoor space and recreational activity available in the Far West. There's a couple of providers at Mildura over the border in Victoria, which of course have been locked away from us for a while now, but they're starting to open up. And the other thing is too that there is a philosophy that we take remote children away from their communities and we take them to Sydney to show them things that they what they're missing out on. Basically, it's a reinforcement of disadvantage, where in actual fact the desert environment has got an awful lot to offer. So the program has been evolving and it's been supported by the Central Darling Shire Council and New South Wales Government for 3 years to operate with children and youth in a small way on their country, connecting with their elders and their culture, to gain an appreciation of where they live rather than continually being reinforced the message of disadvantage. Next, please. Yeah, it's also hoped that we believe there's a commercial market here, both for the community and or a supportive provider, to attract urban-based schools and other user groups to the region. particularly if we can connect with culture and history and the landscape. Obviously, that's going to be, last year wouldn't have been a good year. It was drought and the river was dry. But we've probably got a good 7 years in front of us before that happens again. So we're hoping that once this pilot gets up and running, other partners, but also other potentially a provider to get access to a new market. There's been interest from other Darling River towns and communities to engage their youth with their own environment and also national parks. Next, please. Beautiful. So the first pilot was to work with a small cohort of youth, supported by a wonderful teacher at Wilcannia School. Funded by Stronger Country Communities, Wilcannia Central School, Macquarie River Paddlers were the program provider for this first pilot. And the landowners and station owners in the region are more than happy to give access to the land and cultural sites. Just happy to support people being involved in the country. So that's been really good. The goodwill's been pretty good. Next, please. I've spoken with Ready Aboriginal Employment. They're the Far West region, work for the Dole people. They also work in the cultural space around empowerment. Peter Gibbs is the new operations manager, and the new CEO, Tracy Shillingsworth, the former director of Aboriginal Affairs, are very enthusiastic towards encouraging engagement with traditional owners in being part of. They don't have the capacity to host, they don't have the capacity to run businesses, but they do have the capacity to partner with and provide input and local knowledge programs in the future. And they're pretty good and well-respected drivers in that space. The Moody Regional Assembly is a cohort of 16 community working parties across the Aboriginal nations of the Far West. We're hoping that someone within the membership of Outdoors New South Wales with the skills and capability of running outdoor recreation tours, groups in support of Macquarie River Paddlers. The finding from the first group was my input was much greater than I wanted it to be. That Macquarie River Paddlers are very capable in the paddle space, in the canoeing space and on the river, but would benefit as a community club run by volunteers themselves. They've got to take leave to run these programs, and it would be I would like to see we could move it to a commercial model on an ongoing basis and potentially have someone drive the program into the future. So put your hands up if you think you want to work in that space. I think there's a profitable service provider option available. National parks are more than happy to work with us in terms of access to their parks, of course, but also utilising a provider or utilising a community group, whoever puts their hand up to work in the space around cultural locations and history stories and place-based information. They're looking for obviously increased use of their national parks. We've got a number of them, and I think the plan in time would be that we would set up a number of set journeys which are along storylines or songlines with the elders, where it becomes an outdoor walk, paddle, camp across places of environmental or cultural interest. So it's more than just a walk. There is things to see when you're there and stories to learn. And commercial equipment tour providers, if someone could put their hand up to help maybe be part of the project in terms of subsidising or sponsoring for some equipment. We've got a fair slab of it, but I'll be perfectly honest to say some of the stuff we used within the Office of Sport wasn't fit for this purpose. We survived, but some of the gear needs to be replaced so that it fits with our needs. Next slide, please. So the journey is the first pilot journey, and it looks pretty damn boring when you look at it. It was a one-day walk of 10 k's for the kids across sandhill and scrub open plain country. The country varied from dry ephemeral lakes to sandhill country to mulga scrub. When you're walking this country, it changes remarkably quickly, and we're very lucky that the seasons give us. There were lots of wildflowers, and we're walking through grasslands, and it was very pretty in its own way. It's not grand country, but it's very pretty. And then we walked across the floodplains on day 2. We ran for the bolt hole of the Moody shearing shed on the first day, as there were a number of storms and lightning around, and we took the option to get undercover while it was there, and also to get fresh water and showers, which made life a bit easier, a bit more comfortable for the kids who were put in a big day. 40-knot headwinds on the second day saw us shorten the trip, put the canoes on the vehicle, and instead of heading off from the point we had planned 40 k's by river north of Vulcania, we shortened it to 30 k's, which was ideal. There was still a bit of wind gusting around, and it made it quite achievable for the kids. And we paddled into Steamers Reserve on the 4th day, with everyone smiling. It was fantastic to see the change in the kids. They came in angry young teenagers and came home singing and feeling a sense of achievement, and they really did do a great job. Next place, next slide, please. Yeah, so these are the participant lessons, because there was a school-based requirement attached to it. So team management, diet and hygiene, maths. Interestingly, these Aboriginal kids who don't engage with school very well jumped all over dead reckoning and navigation, and there was a lot of maths in it. They navigated across the country, which is pretty featureless to a large degree. There's no big mountains. And time over distance calculations and things. So I was amazed at how quickly and enthusiastically they jumped on the mathematics of the process. Obviously safety and risk management, semi-independence, tolerance and team building, as well as identifying environmental land features, vegetation, river features, finding and tracking animals, etc. And a number of cultural features, plenty of cooling and rui trees along the river that we identified. Some of these trees have been in excess of 2,000 years old, and many of them were bearing scars of ancient Aboriginal harvesting, with cut footholds in them to collect birds' eggs. Furies and cooling cutting out of the trees where there were scars. So the kids were pretty enthusiastic about identifying ancient land use. Next, please. One of our learnings, the team learnings, were that IT has made these children as urban as any other. They live in a remote location, they live in a small community, but their connection to country has actually been fairly well sorted. One, because they didn't know they could have access to cattle stations and sheep stations, and don't ask. There are a lot of challenges in these communities, and technology sees them often staying pretty close to town. As young people, they were young people, and we all had great regard for them by the end of the session. And their levels of resilience and determination, it was quite amazing. These kids stuck there, and really those that stuck with it really grew from their experience. Next, please. Yeah, we had our staffing levels were pretty high. The kids needed that. Their home environments are often very challenged, but it all went well. And I would suggest that groups of 8 would be the way to go. Some of our equipment failed. We need to, which could have been a problem. We need to improve the quality of the equipment we had. we had a discussion around leaving the kids with their phones. There is intermittent service across the region, and it was enough to create distraction from them. And some of these kids have actually they're parenting their parents in some cases. It's not so much stopping the kids from using their phones to ring out or to text out, it was actually the parents continuously at them on the phones. So, yeah, probably try the next one without any phones and see how we go. We also had a younger than planned group, just by necessity, but they did really well. Next, please. Yeah, the community elders, the Aboriginal elders are very enthusiastic toward the program continuing and expanding along the length of the Darling townships. And I'm fairly convinced that there's both a local and a statewide interest in using the Darling in the regions out there, which do have landmarks and cultural items of interest. Obviously, you'd want to time the events to avoid the heat, so stay within the shoulder periods of spring and autumn, mostly. But options for flexibility of locations are extensive. There's lots and lots and lots of cultural and environmental places of interest, which I believe are severely underutilised within New South Wales. Yes, please. Next, please. Sorry if I'm a bit slow here, but my system is very slow. My end. Number of schools and Aboriginal land council groups, justice agencies have expressed an interest, but what we've done at the moment is we've actually targeted the higher achieving kids, relatively higher achieving kids within those communities in the first instance. Often disadvantaged and challenged youth are the ones that get all the programs. It's almost a reward. But what we're trying to attempt here is to instill a sense of place, a sense of history, and hopefully these kids will go on to want to remain involved in the outdoor recreation space, which is primarily very represented in a very small way in the region. Sport is the dominating activity, and I would like to think that there are young people and older people out there who, given the opportunity, will see a benefit in returning to more traditional ways of walking and canoeing. And we're seeking a walking partner to the project, someone who's got some skills in the bushwalking outdoor space in the first instance, and then promoting to the wider New South Wales region and Western Victoria as an ongoing program in the future. We've got 3 years to set it up. So that's my little presentation, ladies and gentlemen, pretty well. And I'm talking to a screen here because I can't see it. No one else can see it. If that makes it feel a little bit better. I'll throw it open to questions. It's a very fine, I'll just recap by saying that the purpose is to engage and leave the youth and the communities of the Western region in situ and have them engage with their environment whilst having them engage with people visiting their region, rather than taking people away to receive a service in another part of New South Wales, which has been the tradition. There is an asset out there, I believe, in the environment and in the culture. There is a gap in the market, particularly in the school market, both from the Western region and the Far West. But also, I've been approached by a couple of private schools in Sydney who said we'll be all over that. There's a culture that ticks a lot of boxes in terms of cultural connectivity, Aboriginal engagement, and what greater place to put young people potentially from more affluent communities with side by side in a isolated environment with Aboriginal youth who come from a very different world. I think that given that opportunity and time, and have them work with each other through a series of challenges such as walking over country and paddling and camping and working as a team will break down a lot of barriers and provide a lot of cross-cultural benefits whilst introducing the outdoor recreation space.
Right. Thank you, Mark. If anyone has any questions for Mark, you can pop them in the chat, or you can email me, and I can let Mark know. Does anyone have anything? Okay.
No questions.
Oh, well, hold
I
on.
just wanted to
Helen
make
has
a
one.
comment. It just sounds really an incredible program to go, for the future of Aboriginal people and urban-based people, like an amazing opportunity to,
I've had some experience in. Sorry?
I said I'm speechless. It just sounds incredible what you're talking about there.
Yeah, well, I hope so. It's all the devil's always in the detail. I had to fight pretty hard to get this very small program, and I'm happy to start small. Past the gatekeepers of normal white thinking. It's very subtle in the way you present it in a way that is culturally appropriate to the local community.
Yeah.
We have a saying out here in the Aboriginal space is, "Oh, here comes some more seagulls." They're white, they squawk a lot, they eat the chips, they generally shit on the place and then they fly away.
Yeah.
And that's resented and it has been a historic practice. The level of engagement from the Aboriginal community wanting to be they don't have the capacity, but they have the will and they have the enthusiasm to be involved, is a very good start, because they're often very gun shy and over-serviced. And often that over-servicing is disempowering. I think this, in the outdoor space, provides a unique opportunity to connect those Aboriginal communities with the broader community in active reconciliation, whilst using their environment and presenting it in a way that's commercially attractive to the broader white society. But they're going to need help to do it. They're not business people.
Yeah.
We have got lots of support in principle. It'd be nice to get some support in practice. One, from an equipment provider. I have got SBS NITV standing by and a couple of high profile Aboriginal presenters wanting to be involved and actually participate in the future, but wanted to get this first pilot out of the way in the first instance, where there is an opportunity to get some broader recognition of the region and the country. I would like to tie the journeys and have a series of journeys eventually based on songlines, so that you walk a songline or you walk a storyline, so that that story can be told whilst traversing that country. That's going to take a little bit of nutting out, but a lot of consultation, but we have the people to do that. I'll give you my history too. I've established 2 Aboriginal ongoing commercial operations in the Northern Territory, one an art organisation and one a cultural tourism group up at Uluru. And while I'm here, I'll plug another hobby of mine too. Your Christmas presents, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lovely book on Amazon, $30, called I Am Uluru, which was a project I developed in 2018. Wow. And all proceeds go to the community. There you go. I get nothing. Written by Jen Cowley and the Uluru family. So I've had a bit of work in that space.
Right.
I'm enthusiastic but cautious in process in moving forward. We're aiming to do another traverse, probably of the same route, providing there's enough water in the river, because the irrigators can sometimes suck a bit out of it. In March next year, and consolidate on what we've done this time. At this stage, it would be low numbers. you know, with refinement, you'll get better at that.
Fantastic. Okay. So, Mark, if anyone wants to get involved or chat to you about this, do you want me to share your email address in the chat, or is there a better way?
Absolutely. But what I'll do, just contact our office here.
Okay.
What I'm hoping to do, though, and if you're, because we're running up to Christmas very quickly, and I'm about to take a little bit of leave and do some other projects between now and Christmas. So I'll be back on the 11th. But Murray Newham is the project officer here in the double office. Murray's across the project. And what I hope to do is then in January, we will reconvene a team meeting from those who want to be involved and can come to the table with something. We'll do we'll have a meeting with a view to running another project in March.
Okay.
And then we could also possibly discuss other routes and options in future planning. But I have some, I believe, sufficient resources in place for the next 3 years, next 2 years, 2.5 years, which would fully equip a kit to be able to run these kinds of projects across the Far West in different locations, which would be familiar with test, map, document, and have a series of tours. So Peary National Park, for instance, which is not very far from the Darling. It's got more artefacts and history there that goes back nearly 100,000 years, and you're stumbling over Aboriginal artefacts every footstep just about. There's that much there. Moody National Park's got some great assets and cave paintings and campsites and middens and all sorts of stuff. All the way down the Darling, there are carved trees, all with their stories. So if we had, say, we could have a Gundabooka Berg program. There's a lot of Aboriginal artefacts at Gundabooka, sacred locations, river, riparian and open plain country. We could have a Wilcannia project, Kinchika National Park, Lake Mungo. All those sites down the river have got phenomenal cultural interest, archaeological and historical interest, but great places to walk to, which are vastly underutilised.
Right, well, thanks, Mark. I think that's a wrap on that. Unless anyone's got any questions, I think we can head off and have an early mark of 5 minutes today. Are you hosting your session, Dom, this morning as well? Or are you later on?
We're on a week off, Leslie. So
okay.
we're only going fortnightly now.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear, I guess. Okay, great. Well, we can end it here, everybody, unless anyone's got any questions or anything they wanted to add or have any news they wanted to share. No? Okay. Well, I'll pause that there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.